This is Iron Inquisitor here, and welcome to my reaction to Red Letter Media's Mr. Plinkett Star Wars The Force Awakens review. Now, it's been a while since I've done anything Plinkett. I was going to do a reaction to another video. I think it was like a case against the Jedi, but you know, I'm having trouble figuring out what to say in response to that, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Alright, let's begin.
What if someone else beside you came to you and said, I want to make episode 7? Could you see that happening?
No.
Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, is the most disappointing thing since my son's court-appointed lawyer, Larry Gruber. A competent enough movie,
Competent? You know, I wouldn't really call GFA competent.
lawyer, but not good enough to get my son out of a 60-year prison sentence for driving his car through a Taco Bell. I mean, who hasn't driven through a Taco Bell? Most people...
I can imagine Plinkett doing that, just going "Rawr," and then he drives through Taco Bell.
People get off with a slap on the wrist for that. All he wanted was a steak volcano queso macharito, and he was on meth.
Of course he was on meth.
Also, he may or may not have killed someone. Now, friends, after being asleep for 3 or 8 years, I'm back. And I'm here to examine not just Star Wars The Force Awakens, but the Star Wars landscape as it appears today.
The Star Wars landscape today is really not that great.
As there have been many changes since George Lucas sold Star Wars to white slavers.
And many of those changes have not been for the better. And yes, I agree with George Lucas here. He pretty much did sell Star Wars to white slavers.
I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and
I mean, Disney's white slavers. I forgot the official trademark and logo their lawyers prefer. And much like the ancient storytelling art of ring composition, I'm gonna bring all this back full circle to make it utterly pointless. Ready? Here we go! Hit it, Johnny! Oh yeah, Johnny was captured by white slavers. Oh no, Johnny! Number 1. Star Wars has become a living nightmare that you can never wake up from until you're dead. And
Star Wars has become a living nightmare. Yeah, it pretty much has.
even then, I can't guarantee it. The world of movies has changed dramatically in the last 10 years, my friends.
Oh my God!
Some would say for the worse. After George Lucas.
For the worst. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Sold Star Wars to Disney, we discovered a terrible truth. That like Marvel, Star Wars will become the next big, endless, and pointless cinematic universe.
And they pretty much failed at that already because they pretty much burned Star Wars out and gave it a lot of the franchise fatigue.
Marvel has already produced more than 12 films and has 137 more in the works, with 3 to 4 coming out each year. And after stumbling a little out of the gate, DC is attempting to do the same damn thing. Because of Marvel's success, everybody's trying to get in on this game. There's going to be an Independence Day cinematic universe with 16 films planned, an Avatar cinematic universe with 9 sequels planned, which are all shooting at one time.
Avatar meets the Smurfs. Oh. Oh, I'd see that.
A Universal movie monster cinematic universe. What a joke. 4 to 5 sequels are now planned even before a movie is released. It's gotten insane. And I'm insane, so you'd think I would think it's normal.
You are indeed insane, Plinkett. At least you recognize that. I can give you credit for that.
Wait, what? Thankfully, some movies have contributed to slowing down this insanity, but others have not. Now, George Lucas seems like he might be a passive-aggressive kind of guy, which I can respect. I once aggressively drove someone off the road for passing me. Anyway,
Jackass.
remember the time when George Lucas wanted to expand his studio in Marin County, California? Rich white people. And they tried to block his expansion, so then he said he was going to build a bunch of low-income housing. And those wine-slurping millionaire cracker hypocrites weren't too happy about that. That's a passive-aggressive move if I ever saw one. What a racist!
Okay, that was an okay pun.
So did Lucas sell Star Wars to Disney knowing that it would piss off fans?
And
It did. It pissed off fans like me because one of my greatest fears came true. And that was the expanded universe getting tossed out. I thought they would originally just get rid of all the post-Return of the Jedi stuff, but nope. They had to get rid of everything. Which was bullshit.
Disney,
Oh, cringe.
who
Is Chewbacca wearing a freaking wig? What?
He doesn't look too happy in this photo, and he did describe it as a divorce.
Yeah, George Lucas probably has a lot of regret selling Lucasfilm.
I'm moving forward.
So what have you been up to lately? How's you're
I'm building a museum in Chicago, and I'm raising a daughter who's 2 now. And, we're
That's not a 2-year-old baby.
working on my own films.
I don't think anyone buys the whole or want to focus on making personal films bullshit, do
They'll
they?
never be seen by anybody.
Wow.
They're just films for myself.
These are little
Porn?
tiny movies that are experimental. They aren't using the same structure.
How do you know it's porn? You're just putting words into his head.
Personal films, I assume he means this.
Well, that's a new innovation in packaging, actually. It may actually hinder tampering because it's very difficult to open, but I feel very secure with the spinach.
George Lucas sold Star Wars to basically the only company that could afford to buy it.
Are they really the only company that could afford to buy Star Wars? Sure there aren't like other people that could?
And then they rejected all of his ideas for the next 3 films.
And I wish they hadn't have done that. They should have at least kept some things from it. Or no. They should have just used them.
The beauty of the collaboration that can continue is Does this make sense within the rules of Star Wars?
Does it make sense within the rules of Star Wars? A lot of things in the new canon with TLJ don't make sense. Like the freaking hyperspace scene. With freaking Admiral Gender Studies.
Really, he's the keeper of the...
And yes, Kathleen Kennedy is lying, and she lies a lot.
Flame when it comes to that.
It's the same thing with the first 3 films. That's all my job is to be the keeper of the flame. They decided they didn't want to use those stories. They decided they were going to go do their own thing, and so I decided...
He complained about it all over the internet. Complained about it everywhere he could.
They weren't that keen to have me involved anyway, but at the same time I said, I'm not going to... If I get in there, I'm just going to cause trouble.
He kind of acted like Cam Newton after losing the Super Bowl. Now he seems like a broken man filled with regret, cynicism, hate, and most importantly, the dark side.
The dark side? No. Well, I'd be pretty upset if my story treatments got thrown out.
You have to put it behind you, and it's a very, very, very hard thing to do.
George probably came to this decision because 1, he's too old and probably too lazy to helm another 3 films, and 2, he...
No. George Lucas never did a sequel trilogy because the expanded universe already did it for him. I remember in an interview, they asked George Lucas why he never made an episode 7, and he said something like, let me try to remember. There's no story to tell. It's already been done in the books, games, and the comics. Things I think are incredibly creative.
wanted to piss off all those people that ripped him apart.
And those people that bullied George Lucas, they deserved TLJ. They bullied George Lucas, they sold it, and now they got the fucking Last Jedi. And all those same people who bullied him are whining about it.
You know, all those sniveling, complaining,
Plinkett.
internet armchair critics. Hey, speaking of that, this armchair I got has been acting up. I gotta get that guy out to fix it. And he better do a good job or else I'm gonna complain about how he fixed it. On the internet, I have an app on my phone called Blabber. It allows me to complain about everything. Armchair repairmen, traffic, doorknobs, Medicare, the comfort level of my prescription shoes.
Oh,
the
get on
bitchy
with
checkout
it.
girl who keeps plugging her nose at me like I smell real bad.
Because you probably haven't had a freaking shower in a long time.
But now the reality that we all have to deal with is there's going to be a new Star Wars film every year or so from now until we're all dead.
I wouldn't really count on that. With the way things are going, Star Wars is literally being drove into the ground. In fact, I predict by the end of 2019, and after Episode 9 comes out, Star Wars will be... people will have no interest in it anymore. At least the casuals.
Yes!
The good old days of waiting 3 to 5 years between movie sequels are over. Long gone are the days.
And I kind of miss those days. I think they should have waited a few years instead of just pumping out all those Star Wars movies. They should have waited. Because it's giving the franchise fatigue. You're pushing out way too much stuff at once.
Of a small group of craftsmen making a film with care. It's now become an assembly line of 500,000 people.
An assembly line? Pretty much. I can agree with that.
10,000 different departments cranking this shit out. I can't even tell you how many people it takes to make those Avengers movies. Oh my god, it looks like the Vietnam War Memorial. But different. Very, very different. I mean, I'm glad everybody's working. They say the economy's bad, but Jesus Christ, this list is half the population of the country. Who's out of work? Dead people? Homeless people? It seems like everyone's a computer animator. And now there's even more dummies all over the world to consume this trash. So many Chinamen.
Chinamen? What?
Just a few years ago, all the Chinese did was grow rice and threaten each other with tanks.
That's such a terrible stereotype. Oh my gosh.
Now they're seeing movies. Their government is letting them watch movies now from America. It's like someone once said, there's a sucker born every minute. Oh yeah, it was Leo Hirschfield, the creator of the Tootsie Pop. He was a fucking asshole.
Why was he an asshole?
He's always trying to lick my cock.
Oh! That is disgusting. Why is that even needed in this? What does that have to do with what's going on currently? It's just like random fucking filler. Let's continue on.
I never made it without biting.
Anyway,
Ugh.
Disney recently announced plans for 19 more Star Wars trilogies. It goes something like this.
And I can guarantee you there's not really they're going to scale down. In fact, scale back. They have already talked about scaling back too.
Episode 8, 2017. Episode 9, 2019. Episode 10,
I'm pretty sure there's going to be no episode 10.
2021, episode 11, 2023, episode 12, 2025, episode 13, 2027, episode 14, 2029, episode 15, 2031, episode 16, 2033, episode
Shut up, I get it.
17, 2035, episode 18, 2077, episode 19, 2047, and so on. And all these films will be about people fighting with lightsabers, some kind of personal destiny, and a doomsday weapon.
Recycling that over and over again. And Star Wars will get freaking dull.
Looks like every superhero movie is about an epic confrontation or a big doomsday monster. In some cases, that is literal. But in addition to the trilogies, on the off years, there's going to be a Star Wars standalone film. Maybe 2 each year, or 3, or 4.
No, we're not going to get that either.
The ideas currently going around are The Young Adventures of Han Solo, a Yoda prequel, Admiral Akbar standalone adventure called Fish Face.
Fish Face? Oh.
A Jabba the Hutt drama about weight loss.
Oh. Alright, I know a certain troll. If you're watching this, I know who you are. I mean, you know who you are.
Ewok.
I bet you'd just... If Lucasfilm made literally all these films, this certain troll, he'd eat it all up and call it the best thing since Empire Strikes Back. He'd eat up all of this.
Let's take Manhattan. Lax Sivrak meets the Wolfman, a Star Wars story. Lawrence Kasdan rumored to write. And so on. If The Force Awakens didn't make you sick of seeing Star Wars everywhere in every fucking facet of your life, get ready to have the next 30 to 40 years of your life ruined.
It looks like it may go on for another 50 or maybe even 100.
Thankfully.
And with it being driven into the ground, it won't.
110 years young. I've only got a few more years left in me to deal with this. Then I can die and go to the sweet sanctuary of hell.
And you very much deserve to go there, Plinkett.
You know, for all my misogynistic humor. Oh, and for all the hookers I killed with Raid, too. Ah, the sweet silence of hell. The crackling of the fire. It reminds me of camping out as a boy in the woods of New Jersey. Ah, it's so calming. It's, oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Endless lightsaber.
Oh, thank God it was just a dream. Anyway, speaking of hell, it's hotter than Hades in here. Thank God for my fan. I don't have AC, and this little guy is the only thing keeping me from dying of heat stroke.
Yes, karma. Fail, fan. Fail.
Oh no, my fan broke. It must have short-circuited. Well, that's another thing I'll need fixed, I guess. Anyway, on with my review. Number 2, the Star Wars Ring Theory. Now that we've set up what's going on with Star Wars, let's look at the other hellscape they call the internet, where any crackpot, idiotic college student born in 1997
I was born in 1997.
or man-child blogger who has a keyboard can talk about Star Wars with the illusion of some kind of authority. Like me. Now, some of you may have heard of this or read this guy Mike Camino's article about the Star Wars ring theory. Insane people like to think that George Lucas used an ancient technique called ring composition to create a level of storytelling so sophisticated that it's unprecedented in film history.
First, it's kind of annoying, like you step in.
Why are you talking about the prequel?
And then you realize what it is, and then you try to get away from it.
Or so they say. If it's such a blatantly amazing thing, then why is it called a theory? Star Wars ring theory. More like the Star Wars bling theory.
What?
Am I right?
We're in the money. We're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or the George Lucas stole a bunch of old ideas theory.
All I need is an idea.
Anywho, it's called ring theory, not ring fact, because the article states that Lucas has never spoken about it publicly. Maybe that's because he stole all of his ideas from Cliff's Notes. I caught you! Do I think this guy's article was convincing and he makes some interesting points? Well, sure. I do to a certain degree, much like I thought Room 237 made some interesting points. Crackpots! Are the prequels masterful works of art because of this theory?
Why are you talking about the prequels? I'm here to watch you review fucking The Force Awakens.
No, they're a masterful work of lazy.
Review the fucking Force Awakens, I'm not here to listen to you bitch about the prequels. Oh my god.
There you go. A first draft. Official first draft. Of course, there's a lot of cheating in there.
What?
going there as part of an elaborate plan involving 5 characters. But they still open the same way, right? Boarding ships asking for permission to land and then do so. Is this intentional? Or is this just the way George Lucas writes his Star Wars movies? Let's look into all this further. Let's discuss the second and third acts. On Tatooine, a native named Anakin Skywalker...
Why are you talking about the prequels? Talk about the fucking Force Awakens. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna skip ahead again.
Taking place outside of a window. A duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker.
Why are you comparing the prequel? Why are you even talking about this? Review the damn Force Awakens. Oh my
Up as I go along, right?
Sure, whatever. Geez, they're hiring you armchair repair guys a little old now, aren't they? What are you, like 80 or 90? Whatever. Just get to work fixing my armchair so I can sit in it and complain about movies that other people worked really hard on.
Is George Lucas gonna attack Plinkett?
While accomplishing absolutely nothing myself. Get to work!
Anything you say, Mr. Plinkett.
Part 2. Number 3. Idiotic Millennials rethink the Star Wars prequels.
Plinkett, why are you talking about the fucking prequels? You're here to review The Force Awakens. It says Mr. Plinkett's Star Wars Force Awakens review. I'm not here. Why are you bitching about the prequels?
Shortly after Disney purchased Star Wars in 2012, mysteriously, love began to return to the prequels. It's like bloggers and websites secretly received checks from Disney to write articles about how the prequels weren't as bad as everyone remembers. Maybe this resurgence was real.
Okay, I'm gonna skip like most of this because I'm here to watch a review of The Force Awakens. I'm almost halfway there, halfway through his review, and he's still bitching about the prequels. When are you going to talk about The Force Awakens? Let's see, how much longer does this go on? There, he's still bitching about the prequels continuously. Let's skip ahead right here and get to the actual thing, because I don't... He could have made this much shorter.
Put their hands deep into your ass wallets, scraping out every bit of profit they can. Lucas seemingly has no control anymore since he gave them some ideas he had and they laughed at him and asked him to leave.
I will...
Oh wait, I'm a little bit... That's where I want to go.
How about a collaboration?
Yay. Collaboration on what? What are you guys doing? Why are you coming at me with weapons? Oh my god!
Plinkett deserves it.
Part 3. Number 4. Waking a Sleeping Giant.
What's the sleeping giant? Oh, he better not be talking about what I'm thinking about. Well, let's go on.
No, absolutely, positively, you're really closing the door without any wiggle room whatsoever.
Right. There is no episode 7.
You know, sometimes it's really difficult to take George Lucas's word as gospel because he always changes his mind, it seems like.
Well, I guess money can change anyone's mind. With cash, you can buy any meal at the mall food court.
I don't need the money.
George credited internet bullies as the reason why he sold Star Wars to Disney.
And yes, that's exactly why. He was so... He couldn't stand those ungrateful fucking fans who kept whining and attacking him. So it's like, why should I give you any more Star Wars? And those same people, they deserve the Force Awakens. I mean, I already said that, but they deserve it for bullying George Lucas.
Hope he wasn't talking about me.
Yeah, you're part of the problem. You're the reason why Star Wars is owned by Disney. Because you made prequel hating mainstream. Hell, I used to be a prequel hater, but I grew up.
Maybe he was talking about cinematic rectum Star Wars prequel reviews. But alas, here we are. Disney now owns Star Wars and has the rights to dig deep into that gold mine for as long as they want. And put their hands deep into your ass wallets, scraping out every bit of profit they can. Lucas seemingly has no control anymore since he gave them some ideas he had and they laughed at him and asked him to leave.
I will go my way and I'll let them go their way.
As he left, he reportedly fell down the stairs, dusted himself off with embarrassment, and then stepped on a rake.
Oh my gosh, stop hating on George Lucas, Plinkett. It's getting so tiring.
But what were those ideas? Who knows? I know two guys who'd love to talk to him about it.
George Lucas, I would love to know what George Lucas's ideas were. And I really hope he releases those scripts in some form to the public.
Also, Mr. Lucas, please consider Milwaukee for your Star Wars museum. We got great things here like beer, cheese, the world's largest music festival, a bronze statue of the Fonz, and plenty of crime. Oh wait, I live in New Jersey. Anyway, then we hear that J.J. Abrams is signed on to direct Star Wars Episode 7. This was of course an idea I suggested years ago based on his exciting and energetic Star Trek films. He seemed more suited for the Star Wars universe than the Star Trek one.
I don't know. As time goes by, I begin to dislike J.J. Abrams more and more.
Oh my god, how embarrassing. And he did do a great job making the film. The original cast would be back in some degree. Lawrence Kasdan was rumored to write. John Williams would return to write the score. And more importantly, JJ wanted to focus his efforts on making it look like a Star Wars film.
Oh, what? The prequels don't look like Star Wars? Oh, just because... Oh, if we don't have the Empire and Rebels and Stormtroopers and X-Wings, then it's not Star Wars. Oh my god. See, I've said this many times, but that's exactly what's wrong with current Star Wars. If you keep trying to make Star Wars like that, it becomes fucking boring.
Utilizing real sets, locations, props, creatures, and even shooting it on real film with some of the original lenses used on A New Hope. I recall making a lot of these suggestions.
You're pointing to your Phantom Menace review, Plinkett, but apparently Plinkett is really dumb, stupid, and senile. And he has poor memory, because if you fucking rewatch the Phantom Menace, you had practical sets. You had practical effects. So you're complaining that you're praising that TFA is a return to that. Well, you got that with the Phantom Menace. Watch the opening shot, Plinkett, of the Phantom Menace. The Republic ship and the Trade Federation ships, those are all practical sets and models. Look at the interior of the Trade Federation ship. That's all practical sets and models. I mean, yes, there's the CGI droids, but they did use all that in the prequels. Hell, look at the Theed Palace scenes. Look at all those practical sets and all that stuff. Look at Tatooine. Tatooine was all practical sets. It wasn't just all fucking CGI. Oh my god. Hell, even look at that. Look at that Naboo starfighter. That's a practical set. It's not fucking CG. Not to mention, like, all the miniatures that were hand built and not CG. You have to be fucking blind not to see any of that in the Phantom Menace that I just brought up. So anyway, let's continue on.
Where's my check? Number 1, real sets and less CGI.
I just said there was a lot of real sets in the Phantom Menace. I mean, yes, he did use a lot of CG, like, a lot in the other 2 prequel films, but honestly, those large-scale battle scenes, especially in the Phantom Menace, wouldn't have been possible without CGI droids. It would have been very impractical to use hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of animatronic robots.
2, stormtroopers as real people. 3, real actual stormtrooper costumes.
Who cares if they were CGI'd in the prequels? I don't.
Not cartoon.
You can have real people or CG. I wouldn't really care.
Emotional, real, raw lightsaber battle.
Real lightsaber battles? Pfft. The lightsaber battle in The Force Awakens was the worst in the franchise. It felt like one of those, basically a big budget Hollywood version of those lightsaber fights people do on YouTube, where they fight in the woods or their backyard. That lightsaber duel was crap. The lightsaber duel, like, a lot of people think the weakest lightsaber duel in the Star Wars franchise is the one with Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan in Star Wars Episode 4, but no. That one is better than the Force Awakens lightsaber duel. By a long shot. It's like they didn't even hire people to do proper choreography. They're just fucking hacking at each other crudely. Also, do we need emotion in a fight when the Jedi Code says there is no emotion, there is peace?
battles. So with these things done right, what could have possibly gone wrong?
A lot of things. They ripped off the original trilogy and then sprinkled elements of the expanded universe on it.
Well, not too much. More missed opportunities than things gone wrong. Let me explain. Star Wars Episode 7 is like a beautiful new home.
We're home.
You walk in it, and it has a lot of the stuff your old home had.
In other words, you're nostalgia blind for the original trilogy.
And a lot of stuff every home should have. A kitchen, a stove, a couch, a toilet, bedrooms, etc. You walk through it for that first couple of times and you say, wow, this is a nice home. But behind the walls are some termites and a few load-bearing Krusty the Clown posters.
I wouldn't take it down if I were you. It's a load-bearing poster.
As Ned Flanders said, you can't live in good intentions.
Well, my family and I can't live in good intentions, Marge.
You know, it's being done with such love and such enthusiasm from everybody.
What do you think of the house that love built?
That's literally the sequel trilogy. That house falling apart.
Oh, shoot.
My first reaction to this film was a moderately positive one. That's because I was on Vicodin, but as the dust settles, some cracks appeared. Not so much in plot holes or shitty execution.
Well, there is a few inconsistencies with Star Wars lore, like how it's been established in the new canon. Or yeah, I think it is part of the new canon. You can't enter hyperspace or be in it around the gravity well or mass shadow of a planet. But what do? They're able to do that to get through the shields on Starkiller Base, even though that's not possible in Star Wars lore. And whatever.
Because it's a fun, well-made movie. But the cracks are in the mystery that's behind it. Unlike Yoda, I'm able to sense the dark side. The soulless, evil force that is the Hollywood machine.
And I'm glad you can recognize that.
And their manipulative string pulling. The Hollywood machine is in full effect and it's got its filthy hands on my Star Wars.
Your Star Wars?
The smartest thing Harrison Ford did was get out early. Spoilers.
You know, Han Solo's death was not a surprise to me at all. One of my favorite YouTubers, he predicted that years ago, and so then I expected to see that. Here we have it here.
He died. Not Harrison Ford, surprisingly.
I think I'm going to stop right there, and I hope you guys have a good day or good evening, and I'll see you around.